Hello, my name is Rachel and thanks for coming to my channel. Today I wanted to do some book reviews on the Christian Fict-a-thon that I think it's Paperback Kitty from Paperbacks and Ponytails is putting on. So I've read 3 of the 5 books, so I wanted to just hop on here and do a review of those 3 books that I've read so far. So the first book in the prompts for the prompts are a book with flowers on the cover, and this is the book right here that I chose for that prompt, which is Hind's Feet on High Places, and that is by Hannah Hurnard. So this book was written in 1975, and Hannah went to Switzerland to go to her father's funeral there. And while she was there, you know, the beauty of Switzerland, she felt like God was trying to tell her something while she was there. And she, through the beauty of Switzerland, the flowers, the mountains, the waterfalls, all that, she felt like she was receiving messages from God telling her, like, oh, look at the flower and look how beautiful it is. The flower is singing God's name. The birds in the air is singing, like, listen to them. You can hear God being worshipped through the birds. She felt like God was speaking to her through the beauty of nature in Switzerland, and she wrote a book, an allegory about what she felt like she saw. And so the story in the book is about a girl, her name is Much Afraid, and she lives in this village, and I believe it's called like the village of humiliation or something along those lines. And so everyone in this village has like those kind of names, like anger and sorrow and, you know, just stuff like that. So they're all named different things. They're characteristics of, you know, how they are as a person. And so Much Afraid finds the shepherd, and who's Jesus, and the shepherd tells her, if you want to follow me, if you don't want to live in this land anymore, I can take you away from here, but you need to follow my way, and you need to trust my way that I show you no matter what comes your way. And so basically, Much Afraid accepts Jesus, and she starts on the journey of life and the ups and downs through the storyline of like traveling through mountain valleys and through storms and that kind of thing. And she has people come after her, like her family member, her cousins, who have like the names, who don't want to follow Jesus, but they're trying to persuade her not to follow Jesus. And so, yeah, it's a really, really interesting book. It's very similar to The Pilgrim's Progress. It was very, very flowerful words. And I'm not really typically, like, look at these pictures, they're beautiful. Okay, so I'm not really into super flowery words. And at times it was very, like, almost put me to sleep. Because she's just describing, like, the waterfall for, like, the 10th time or whatever. But beyond that, I thought it was a really great book. You have to read to the end. And this was the hard thing for me, was I was like, what are they trying to depict here? Like, what does this waterfall mean? What does this, like, she had to pick up rocks along the way. Like, what do these rocks mean? What does the altar mean? Like, what are those things supposed to be symbolizing? And so at the end, they have 5 basic lessons that she had learned throughout the journey. And the first lesson that she had learned was, I must accept with joy all that you allow to happen to me, all the way, and everything in which the path led me. That I was never to try to evade it, but to accept it and lay down my own will on the altar and say, Behold me, I am thy little handmaiden, acceptance and joy. So the first lesson that she learned going on this journey to reach the high mountains where God was supposed to be living at in this story, the high places, that's like a symbolism of like going, like being close to Jesus basically. So she's saying here that she learned that she needs to accept what comes her way, no matter how hard, how difficult. She needs to accept it with joy and lay down her will and follow God's will. And the symbolism kind of goes along that way of learning how to love without receiving. Just the different aspects of Christian life and how we are supposed to learn things along this way of Christian life, which is totally true. I feel like I'm 40. I've been a Christian since I was 11. I'm still learning like things like how to love people, how to not be angry, how to love them instead of be angry at them. So this book really spoke to me, especially in the aspect of loving people unconditionally. So in the end, I thought it was really great. She was up in the mountain with God or Jesus, and she was looking down on her village, and she saw like her relatives, and she's like, look how much they're hurting and how much they're going through. And Jesus said, these people will not allow me to speak in their homes. That's why I need you to go down and speak for me. And so she decided to go down and show them Jesus. I just thought that was really cool way to look at it. Like, that's why God has us work here on this earth, to be the light for him, because we have people that we know in our lives who like won't read the Bible, who won't look for Jesus. And we are supposed to be the ones that show the light to them so that they'll have a reason to come to him. So I like this book. It was good. I probably give it 4 stars. I wish I knew at the beginning like what all the symbolism was. But and it was a little too flowery for me, but for people who really enjoy that kind of thing. The next book that I read was The Girl Behind the Red Rope by Ted Decker and Rachel Decker. And let's get the glare off there. So this is Christian fiction, and it's very similar to the movie The Village. There's this village that is secluded, and they can't go beyond the red rope. And they are very religious, like cultish. They have a lot of rules to follow. If you don't follow the rules, you're damned to hell. So it was a very good book. I really, really liked it. For the longest time, I didn't know what was happening in here. Like, I got to page 200, and I was still like, is this person a good person? Is this person a bad person? Like, I need to know what's going on, because I'm confused. Like, is this person, like, they had spirits talking to them, and I didn't know if the spirits were like good. I didn't know if they were bad. And so that was like, I really wanted to know so I could like figure out the point of the story. But it turned out really good. So the main story of this book is they live in this village, and they have this, they can't go beyond the rope, because if they do, then they'll be like killed by the Fury, which is like spirits like that are shadows and figures, and they'll kill them. So they have to stay within this rope, and they believe the rest of the world has basically been killed off by the Fury, and they think that they're the only people left on Earth that are still alive. And so this boy he decides to test this, and he's not a boy, he's like, you know, a young adult, and he decides to test this, and his sister Grace goes and helps him test this. And so they go beyond the rope just a little bit and nothing happens, and they go a little bit further and nothing happens, they go a little further and nothing happens. And then eventually they're like a day or two away from the village because they're coming up on a town to go see if there's like anybody living in this town and see if the Fury had killed them off or not. And eventually the boy gets attacked by the Fury, and then this girl, she has a spirit guide type person, and so you're not really sure if it's an angel, you're not sure if it's a demon, because she's given her good advice, but then sometimes it's not, and you're like, who is this person, good, bad, whatever. And then, so let's see here what happens next. So then she like runs back to the village to get some help, and her brother eventually gets to the village, but they're in trouble now, and you know, the whole village is mad at them for basically not following the rules. And so yeah, it's basically I'm gonna say, because I don't want to ruin the book, but then someone comes and who has been prophesied about in this village, and they're worried about this person coming. So anyways, super good book. I really enjoyed it. I love that it was a Christian book, and it has great, like, during the whole book there's not very much like, it's very like a regulated law of God, like rules, and you don't do this and you do this and you don't do this, very cultish type rules. But at the end of the book, that's where God and Jesus's love comes out, and his light comes out, and like breaking the bonds of those laws that people had to keep to be able to be satisfying to God, and you just can't keep them. And so that's where at the end that came, Jesus's way came in to play at the end of the book. But during the whole book, it kind of felt more like a secular book, which was fine. I just was like, where's the Jesus stuff coming in? So yeah, super good book. Really recommend this. The next book I read for the Christian Fict-a-thon. Oh, this is not for the Christian Fict-a-thon. This is a Christian non-fiction book, but I just finished it. I had bought this book so many years ago, and I was only like halfway done reading it. Crazy Love by Francis Chan, and I was only halfway done reading it, and I just put it down and didn't pick it up for years and years. Like, I think I was in my 20s when I bought this book. So anyways, it was really good. It was really good. The first chapter, I was bawling. Like, first chapter has some videos that he wants you to go to his website and go watch, and those videos really I guess like help to remind you of the amazing aspects of God, and how little we are, and how evil we are, and how like nothing we are, and yet God loves us so much that he's done so much for us. So the first chapter just had me bawling, but I just really like this book. I loved let's see here. He was talking about how we as Christians should not be comfortable Christians. We should be Christians that are in dangerous situations. We should be Christians, like in America, like we're always like, well, as long as I'm safe, God's taking care of me. And like, God doesn't call us to be safe and like have perfect, like nothing going wrong with our life. He wants us to have like get involved in people's lives who have messy messed up situation so that we can be the light for them to come through. And that might involve not always being safe. That might, in God's protection, like, should cover us. But what if it doesn't? Does that mean that God's any less? Like, no, we are doing the work of God. So, really enjoyed this book. He, at the end of it, has some people in here, I think that he personally knows, or maybe that goes to his church, who are following God's will for them. Like, they've dropped everything to go and follow God. So this guy, he's crazy. His name is Nathan Barlow. He went to Ethiopia to be a medical doctor there, to help people who had this disease called mossy foot, which is people who work in fields where there's volcanic ash and it, like, destroys their foot. So it's kind of like a leprosy of that area. So he goes there to help these people with their disability of their disease of mossy foot. And he is so dedicated to this. And not just that, like, to help people medically, but to help people spiritually. And so he is there being a missionary and healing them physically. So he goes to Ethiopia to help these people, and he is so dedicated to this place. At one point, he, in his missionary work there, he had a toothache, and so he had to go outside of the area where he was missionarying at to go get help from a dentist. And he told the dentist, pull all my teeth out because I don't want another cavity, another tooth infection to affect my ministry to help these people. That's amazing. Who has all their teeth pulled out so they can sit there and continue to, like, it won't be interrupted. Like, that's amazing to me that someone would be that dedicated to preaching the gospel. So he has about 10 or 15 of these people who just have these amazing stories. Some of them are older, like from a long time ago, you know, within 100 years or so. Other ones are ones that are recent ones, but just amazing people who just sacrifice everything that they have to do what they feel God's called them to do. Good book. I really recommend it. It's not too big. I don't know why it took me 20 years to get through this book. Okay, so the third book I read, I always forget about this book because it's in my phone, but the third book I read is called Boo, and I listened to that at night before I went to bed with my husband. He really enjoyed it. It's fun to find books for, like, that my husband enjoys too, because he is not a reader at all. But anyways, we've read this book, Boo, by Renee Guttridge, and we listened to it on audio at night while we were falling asleep, and it was really good. I really liked it. It's about this guy who is a horror writer, and he lives in this town called Scary. So this town was able to make money off of the author who wrote books in the town. Like, he was a really famous author. It's like wherever Stephen King lives. I don't know. Probably the town where he lives, like, makes money off of him because he's so popular. And so that's, like, the same idea of this story. So they would have, like, the town diner. They turned that into, like, the town Scary Diner, where all the foods were named after, like, scary things, you know. Like, they had a plate of French fries, and they put ketchup all over it, and they called it, like, a sawed-off fingers. So yeah, so the whole town had made money off of this author. Well, the author was eventually saved one day. He decided he wanted to follow Jesus, and that was what he was going to do. So he went down to the church and he accepted Jesus. And then when that happened, he decided that he was no longer going to write scary books because he didn't want to put out in the world like fear. He wanted to put out in the world like love and stuff like that. And so this town's all mad because he was no longer going to write scary books anymore because they're going to lose money. And so the town, like many members of the town who were making money off of him, decided that they were going to make up plans and schemes and stuff like that to try to get him to not be Christian anymore and to not date this girl that he was dating, who was a very strong Christian. So they come up with like the dumbest like schemes, but it's just really funny. It's very lighthearted. Yeah, I really like it. There's two other books in the series called Boohoo. I think there's three. There's Boohoo, then there's something Boohoo, which looks like that. That's the second one. And then there's Boo Hiss, and it looks like that. And then there's Boo, yeah, it says fourth in the series, Boo Humbug, which looks like that. And the main character in the story, the horror author, his like nickname is Boo, because his last name is like Boomer or something, and so his nickname is Boo because he writes scary books. But yeah, it's a good lighthearted, pretty silly story, and me and my husband are starting on the second book, and I just love being able to find books I can read with him and enjoy with him. And they have some like Christian aspects to it, and like we can grow together that way and talk about it. Like it's just really cool. So yeah, that's all the books I have read. This book right here I'm working on, I just got in the mail yesterday. It's called Submerged by Danny, I don't know, Danny Petrie. So I haven't read this. I just read like a chapter of it so far, and there's been a plane crash, and they're trying to get a dive team is going to rescue these people who's been in this plane crash. Sounds pretty scary. I would never want to be a diver going to rescue people who are dead. Like that's a really scary thing to do. In the pitch dark, you're in water, and then someone's like scary head that's dead like pops out. It's just really scary to me. But anyways, it's in Alaska that this happens. My family is from Alaska, so I have ties there, so it's just I like to read those kind of things where family's from. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on this book, and then I still have and this is for the Christian Fict-a-thon. And then the fifth book for my Christian Fict-a-thon challenge is, what's it called? Okay, so it's called Secret in the Mist. Morgan Bussey. So I love seeing the steampunk things on here. I love steampunk. I think it's so cool. Houses looks like they're flying in the sky. Like that looks amazing. I'm so excited about this story. So I hope Morgan, is it a girl? I think it's a girl. Morgan, is a boy's name Morgan? I guess it might be Morgan. I don't know. If it's a girl, like I think it's a girl, yeah. So I really hope I like her writing. I really hope I like her stories. And so this is the first time I've ever read her books. I'm so excited to read her books though, because I've looked at other books of hers and they look just as amazing. So I'm gonna try this one, and then if I like it, probably gonna buy all of her books. Pretty excited about that. And that is coming in the mail. I should be getting that in a couple days because I pre-ordered it and it's coming, like it's being released on the 10th, I think they said. So today's the 6th, so just a couple more days to get it. What these are supposed to cover. This is the one with flowers on the cover. Prompt, then the read a new author book is the Secrets in the Mist book I just showed. Oh, no. Yeah, Secrets in the Mist or of the Mist. I don't know. And then number 3 is Murder and Thriller. And that is this one right here, Murder and Thriller book. It's a thriller. There's murder in it. It is also thriller. And then books that have been on your TBR the longest. This one has been on there since 2016. It's a long time ago. So excited to read that one. And then the last one is a romance book, which is Boo. It's kind of like a romance comedy romance. So yeah, that's all the books I have for today. So I can't wait until I get done with Submerge, and then I get my new book, Secrets in the Mist, which I'm super excited about. And I'll do another video on those 2 books. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.